Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my TBR game in which a game of Scrabble picks my TBR for the next 2 months. My name is Jackie and to pick my TBR I spell 5 words in a game of Scrabble with those 5 words acting as my 5 reading prompts for the TBR. And so if that sounds fun to you, make sure to hit subscribe so you'll see the next episode. The last time I played my TBR game, I did fairly well. I read 4 out of the 5 books, but I am still in the middle of reading Femina, A New History of the Middle Ages through the women written out of it by Janina Ramirez. I am over 200 pages in. I still have that much to go. I'm gonna finish it, but since it is a nonfiction book, I've really just been reading a little bit of it occasionally because it is harder to read a nonfiction book than a novel. You really need to go a little more slowly. And there were just other things that were capturing my interest. I will finish it, but unfortunately I cannot give myself the points for this since I didn't actually complete it in the assigned TBR. So that means my current point total is 110. Remember, the goal is 150, and once I reach 150 points, I get to start over with a new board. No specific books that I want to read this month, so let's go back to past Jackie to see what the first prompt was. All right, this is what the board looked like at the end of last month, and I need to start by picking 4 more letters. S, I, L, hand got stuck, C. So I'm gonna do lyric and find a book that reminds me of a song lyric. Maybe I could just put like Spotify on shuffle and see what comes up. So, or I guess you could just know like a lyrical prose, so I don't know what I would pick for that. So it's a double word score. 4, 5, 9, 10, so 20. That's good. The first prompt is lyric. For this, I put my Spotify liked songs on shuffle and then skipped the first song because I remembered that I was already listening to my liked songs on shuffle, so like I didn't want to cheat and use the song that I had been listening to. And what I got was Midnight Rain by Taylor Swift. So here's how I'm going to interpret this prompt. If you listen to the lyrics of Midnight Rain, it is about a woman looking back on the relationship she had with this man that really broke up because they wanted different things in life. He wanted to settle down and she wanted to pursue fame, be independent. She says things like, he wanted a bride, I was making my own name, chasing that fame, he stayed the same. So I was thinking, is there a book with a character who sort of leaves their old relationship or their old life behind to pursue their dreams? It's a little hard because obviously these aren't books that I've read yet, but what I came up with is The Final Act of Juliet Willoughby by Ellery Lloyd. Because in this book, the main character, Juliet Willoughby, is a runaway heiress. She ended up leaving her old life to pursue an art career in Paris. So I don't know, I feel like that works for the song, don't you? In 1938, the title character Juliet Willoughby perishes in a studio fire in Paris alongside her artwork self-portrait of a sphinx. Then 50 years later, 2 students at Cambridge start looking into Juliet's death, believing that it may be more sinister than it appeared and possibly connected to a supposed Willoughby family curse. It turns out that Julie's aristocratic family had dark secrets, and her death may actually be connected to a brutal murder in modern-day Dubai. I've never read from Ellery Lloyd before. Ellery Lloyd is actually the name for a husband and wife writing team, which is pretty cool, but I've heard really good things about this book, and it's been on my TBR for a couple of years. F. E. and T. I'm gonna use my blank and spell fifth. Don't notice that, okay. I feel like I could probably find something that's fifth in a series because I'm reading a lot of different mystery series right now. Off the top of my head, I don't know for sure, but I feel like I could do that. And if not, then I could do something like the fifth book on my TBR. I could go on like Instagram and see what the fifth post is. I don't know. So this is also a double word. Now, I do have the blank, which doesn't count for anything, but that's 5, 6. Is this also 20? The second prompt is fifth, and this actually worked out quite nicely because Towards Zero by Agatha Christie, which is this month's Read Christie pick, or October's Read Christie pick, I should say, is actually the fifth book in the Superintendent Battle series. Superintendent Battle is a Scotland Yard investigator who appears in a few books by Agatha Christie. He doesn't necessarily take a prominent role in all of the stories, but they are all technically a Superintendent Battle series since they have him as a common thread. So how lucky for me that I spelled this prompt and the Read Christie pick that I wanted to read ended up working for it. In October, I'm going to post a video where I try to solve this one. So if you haven't read it before and you want to pick it up and try to guess who done it, definitely join me and tune back in on my channel to see if I guess correctly. This book follows a group of people at this house called Gull's Point, and I believe it's a bit unconventional because the title Towards Zero, which it's not down here, this is a really weird old edition of the book, by the way, that Thrift Books sent me. The picture looked totally different online, and I really have no idea what's going on with this weird ass cover. This is an edition from the 70s or the 80s. I think it is a printing from 1974. Some woman named Betty used to own it. She wrote her name in it. This was Betty's book, but I digress. And it's called Towards Zero because my understanding is the story is sort of effectively counting down to the murder, sort of following the progression of events that eventually lead to a violent end, 0 hour, if you will. This book was also recently adapted for a miniseries on BritBox. It came out recently, I think, and I don't currently have BritBox, but the next time that I get it, I will definitely check out this miniseries to see how it is. E. O. A. V. A E again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more. And an S. Okay. I want to get that triple word score, so I'm gonna spell else. And find a book on my TBR that somebody else is also reading or that somebody else recommended that I read. So I'm going to take a look at social media, see what people I'm following are reading right now, and see what I get. So this is a triple word, like I said. This is also double letter. So this one becomes 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3 is 15. The next prompt was else, and originally my idea for this was to find a book that somebody else was currently reading, but I looked on Instagram and YouTube and I couldn't find a online friend who was currently reading a book that was on my TBR. For whatever reason, whenever I looked, I wasn't really finding anything. So I ended up taking a different approach. And I ended up selecting a book that someone else gave me instead, and that is Party of Liars by Kelsey Cox. As you can see, I already started reading this, but my stepsister, this was actually her book. She came to visit us, left the book behind at our house, gave it to us so we could read it. My mom ended up reading it, and now she wants me to read it also, so we can talk about our opinions on it. This is a debut thriller that just came out this summer, and it's set at a teenage girl's birthday party in this very exclusive, wealthy Texas community. It's a thriller that's told from multiple perspectives, I think almost like The Guest List by Lucy Foley style. So in the story, you're following the teenage girl's mother, her stepmother, who is the father's much younger second wife, the superstitious Irish nanny, and also the teenage daughter's best friend. And it's sort of a slow burn thriller where you don't know at first who was killed. You just know that somebody is gonna die at this party. I've seen a lot of hype around this debut. I started reading it already, and to be honest, I have no idea who it is that's gonna die at this party. I have a couple theories, things that are suspicious to me, but I don't really know where the story's going, so I'm gonna keep reading it for my September TBR, and we'll see what I think. I blank and A. For this, vowel, and do a book where the title starts with a vowel. A, E, I, O, U. And sometimes Y is a vowel too. Hey. So, okay, this was double letter, so it's not going to be worth a lot of points. 2, 3, 7. And then another triple word is right here, if I can get something there. For the prompt, a book title that starts with a vowel, I chose An Old Betrayal by Charles Finch. This is part of the Charles Lennox mystery series. It's a historical mystery series following gentleman sleuth Charles Lennox as he solves crimes in Victorian England. I am a historical mystery reader and author, and I am in the middle of so many historical mystery series, so I am excited to get back into this one. I think this is a series that is very consistent in terms of quality. Sometimes when you're reading a series, there are books that hit very high highs and also ones that hit very low lows, but I think this one is very consistent in terms of the quality of each book. I'm actually not sure what the plot of this book in the series is. It's the 7th book, but I'll just read the description on the dust jacket to you. On a spring morning in London, 1875, Charles Lennox agrees to take time away from his busy schedule as a member of Parliament to meet an old protégé's client at Charing Cross. When their cryptic encounter seems to lead, days later, to the murder of an innocuous country squire, this fast favor draws Lennox inexorably back into his old profession. Soon he realizes that, far from concluding the murderer's business, this body is only the first step in a cruel plan, many years in the plotting. Where will the killer strike next? The answer, Lennox learns with slowly dawning horror, may be at the very heart of England's monarchy. This is a long-running series. I think it has 15 plus books, so excited to get back into it with this 7th installment. Missed. N. A. And lastly, O. Oh. Word that I'm gonna spell is avian, meaning relating to birds. Off the top of my head, I don't know what books I have that are related to birds. I can't think of any titles, but I can look at my TBR to see which ones have birds on the cover and see what we get. So this is also the triple word. So 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 8 times 3. 8 times 2 is 16, so 24. The last prompt for this TBR is avian. To be completely honest with you, I thought I would have more options for this than I ended up having. I just assumed there would be a lot of covers that had birds on them, even if they were just very small in the background. But I was having a hard time finding options. And as of this moment, I am still torn between 2. So why don't you let me know in the comment section which one you think I should read? The first option is a book that has been on my TBR for what feels like a very long time. I kind of forgot about it, to be honest with you, and that's Booth by Karen Joy Fowler. This is a historical fiction that follows the Booth family in the wake of John Wilkes Booth's assassination of Abraham Lincoln. The Booths were actually a very well-known acting family. John Wilkes Booth's brother Edwin was a very successful Shakespearean actor in the 1800s. And so rather than following John Wilkes Booth as the main character, it's following all of his siblings as they deal with the fallout of him committing this heinous deed, reckon with what it means. And my understanding is that also a lot of the Booths did not agree with John Wilkes in terms of his beliefs. A lot of them actually, to my understanding, were supporters of Lincoln. So it was a family who was very divided politically, and it's really just a story dealing with how this affects all of them in the wake of this heinous act by their brother. And I believe it's also been described as having a very emotional and evocative writing style, sort of similar to something like Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, which is what piqued my interest originally. Other option that I have for a book with a bird on the cover is How to Write a Mystery by the Mystery Writers of America. Now, I am a mystery author with a book deal, so I like to think I know how to write a mystery, but this did pique my interest because this is a book that a lot of really successful mystery authors contributed to, and so I was kind of interested to know what are some of their mystery writing tips? You know, am I gonna get some little nuggets of wisdom or some interesting new approaches that maybe I hadn't thought about before? So hop into the comment section and let me know which one of these books do you think I should read for this prompt. That is it all for this month's Scrabble TBR. These are the letters that I have left. Didn't use either of my special tiles, and we'll see how I do this month. That is it for my September and October TBR. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. It helps me know what kind of content is resonating with my audience. And do feel free to send along to another reader friend. If you want to watch more of my Scrabble TBR games, the entire playlist is linked right here. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your support. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye, and I'll see you next time.